I check. I do a pit check. I got a pit stop for a pit check. I do it in public. I don't care.
You got it.
You know, I gotta. Ooh, we're a little sour. Hit it. Here we go. We're back in studio for another episode of Act Up with Alana J, which is me. I'm so happy to be back at Bravery Studios. Wherever you are tuned in, please subscribe, like, smash that like button. As the Brits say, smash it, dribble it, pass it to a friend, share, all of that. And I'm very excited to be here with a hilarious woman. She makes me LOL. Actually, my biggest credit is probably being her laughter twin in her 30-minute, I don't know if it's 30 minutes. Why am I giving time?
30 minutes.
Look at that. Accuracy. In her stand-up special, which you can catch on the YouTube, Belly Slappin Fun. She's a comedian. She is a writer. She is a content creator. It is Laura Merli in the building.
Thank you. Here I am.
Here you are.
In the building.
We were in the car.
Yes.
You were on the PATH train.
And I have to say, I love the PATH train.
Yeah?
It's connected to the subway, and that makes me feel really confident when I'm on it. Other NJ Transit, very different than the subway. I'm scared.
NJ Transit can be a little complicated, I must say.
I've had multiple nervous breakdowns in Port Authority.
Oh,
not being able to figure out how to get home. And the people who work there looking at me like it's absurd that I would ask them.
My issue with the Port of Authority and not knowing where you are and clearly looking for where you're trying to go is when somebody comes up to you trying to help you and they walk you to the gate and then they ask you for money. It's like, sir.
Oh, I haven't had that experience.
I thought you were just being chivalrous, but no, you was looking for, this is a scam. Anyway.
Yeah, that's tough. I have had people try to recruit me to a cult, though, at Port Authority.
Okay, we're going to get into that. Let's pin that. Let's pin the cult conversation for a moment.
Okay.
First, we're going to get into one of my favorite segments. It is palabras, which means words in Spanish.
Yes. I took Spanish in middle school.
You probably know more. I've been on Duolingo.
Nice.
Picking up the palabras, picking them back up.
The old orange owl.
The old duo. He's so cute. Okay.
He is cute.
Oh my God, that reminds me. I didn't practice today, but we'll do that after the show. All right. So Najee has a minute on the clock. I'm going to throw some random words at you. You're just going to give me the first word or thought that comes to mind. Don't think about it.
Okay.
Whatever it is, don't think about it. Just say it. Are we ready?
It's going to flow out of me.
Yeah, just let it fly.
Okay.
No rules. Here we go. I guess just don't be racist.
Just put it through the racial filter and no other filters.
That's it.
Yes.
That is it. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Ability.
I'm already failing. I'm swelling. Olympics?
Okay, I like that. Memory.
Olympics? I just heard people have like the memory Olympics.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's a competition that I would never win.
Okay, cell.
Bye.
Professor.
Ed.
City.
State.
Newspaper.
Magazine.
Art.
Peace.
Failure.
Thriving.
Finding.
Jesus.
Jesus. Piano.
Lesson.
Community.
Theater.
Dinner.
Yum.
Measurement.
Tape.
Construction.
Worker.
Church.
State.
Okay.
Okay. State got in there twice.
It did.
So
it
did
did
Olympics.
It. You failed.
State Olympics.
No, I'm just kidding. There's literally no wrong answer.
Okay.
It's fun because you have the type of brain that wants to like, you either went like complete opposite or you like finished a phrase.
Yes.
And that that not everybody does that. It's so cool to see how different
What do
people
other
do it.
people do?
Well, my friend Bill, shout out to Bill. He was the first guest to repeat everything that I said before he responded.
So he said the same word that you said.
But then he would say his thought. But he just,
Oh.
I guess, like, that's what he needed to do to absorb the word. I guess, like, me just throwing it out at him wasn't enough for him to, like, internalize it, process it, and come out with a thought. But some, like, I've noticed that I've had musical people, artists, if you will. That was real articulate. I've had musical people. I've had, like, artists on the show, recording artists, rappers, whatever, singers, if you will. Well, that's what they are. I don't know why I'm saying
Rappers
they
are
will.
probably really good at this game.
Very poetic, like very, very metaphorical. I don't know. So it's very cool to see how people. But you answered, I feel like a writer would. You have a writer's brain. Congratulations, I just diagnosed you. Okay, all right, awesome.
I'm a diagnosed writer.
Yeah, son. Okay, now we got a minute on the clock, and I am going to ask you a series of random questions until the clock stops.
Okay, and I'm supposed to answer these as fast as possible? Is that the objective?
As succinctly as possible would be
Okay.
nice, so we could get as many in. We'll mess around and maybe extrapolate on some of the things that come up. Who knows?
Gotcha.
Who knows? This could go anywhere. All right. Are we ready? Najee's ready. Najee's like, all right, let's go. I got the burger clock up. Let's go. Ooh, I'm hungry. I don't even eat beef. Here we go. What is your favorite what is your favorite thing about stand-up comedy?
I like that you get immediate feedback on if you did good or bad.
Okay, love that. What is your biggest accomplishment as a comedian to date, or as an artist, writer, etc. to date?
Putting out my special Belly Slappin Fun.
Belly
on
Slappin
YouTube.
Fun. Great. Where did you grow up?
New Jersey.
Really? Where?
Yes, Bergen County.
Where?
Allendale, it's a really small town near Ridgewood and
How did-
Paramus.
How did I not know you were from New Jersey? This
don't
is absurd.
know.
Okay. Who is your favorite comedian?
I think Nathan Fielder.
Okay. What is your favorite hobby outside of comedy?
Reading.
Ooh, what's your favorite genre?
I like pop psychology.
Pop psychology. Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking me out with that burger. Pop psychology.
Yeah.
What is that? Elaborate.
So psychology books that aren't written in such a clinical way, but they are referencing research. So it's kind of like dumbed down psychology.
Did you study psychology in school?
No, but maybe I should have. Although I don't know. I don't know if it would have helped me in life.
So, okay, pop psychology. Do you have any particular favorite authors? I was going to say artists. Authors. Do you have any particular favorite word artists?
I just read this book recently called Sociopath that was really good.
Ooh.
It's written by a woman who is a diagnosed sociopath, and it's a memoir, but she also went to school for psychology after she realized to like try and understand herself better, which is a reason why a lot of people major in psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Because they either have some sort of issue themselves or they have family that has some sort of thing going on and they want to like figure out what's going on. Some of them know that about themselves. Some of that, it's a little bit of a subconscious situation. And it was just really interesting because I feel like we have completely almost like opposite things going on with us. Like I often like struggle with social interactions, but I want to make everyone happy. And if I know that I've upset people, I'm like very, very like upset by that myself. And she's much better at sort of understanding how
The sociopath.
the sociopath, how people operate, but she just doesn't care.
No empathy.
Yes. Well, what also was interesting about that and some other stuff I've read about sociopaths is for the empathy. Oops, I hit the microphone. Sorry.
I'm sure it forgives you.
Around the empathy. I am empathizing with the microphone.
You are
right
not
now.
She's not a
'Cause
sociopath,
I'm not
Mike.
a sociopath. I even
Okay.
empathize with inanimate objects. No, but they don't have the natural emotional empathy that people tend to have where, you know, when you see someone who's in a really hard situation, you feel sad too. You feel those same like physical, not exact same, but a similar physical sensation to when something happens to you that makes you sad. They can learn more like a logical empathy. I'm forgetting what the exact technical term for it is. But yeah, like logically why someone would be sad by certain actions, but they can't feel it.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
they have the intellectual component of it, but not like the emotional.
Exactly. Yeah.
Component.
And a lot of people think that sociopaths and psychopaths are dangerous people because they don't feel those things that other people feel. But from what I've read about it, most people, they're smart enough to realize, hey, if I want to do well in society, I should make choices that endear me to other people, and that'll be better for me too.
Mhm.
And she comes to that conclusion herself, because a lot of sociopaths are thrill seeking because they have such muted emotions
Mhm.
that doing something that puts themselves in a little bit of danger, it stirs at least something
Yeah.
small in them, and it makes them feel something, which makes them feel good. But she decided consciously, like, hey, I'm going down a bad path. If I keep doing this, I'm going to end up in jail. I don't want to end up in jail.
What was she doing?
She was like breaking into houses and like
Oh.
hanging out there, and like at parties in college, she'd try to like get people to hand her like their car keys, saying she's just going to pick something up for them and like take their car for the whole night and bring it back in the morning or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thrill seeking for sure.
Exactly. So she was like, no, I'm going to learn how to logically think about how all my choices are impacting others and live a life that's not going to lead me down that path.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her for attaining enlightenment, attaining empathetic enlightenment,
Yes.
kind of without the empathy required. Okay, now what prompted you to read this book?
I think I was just looking for something that had to do with psychology and was like, oh, I haven't really read anything about sociopaths before. So I read that, and I read a few other things about sociopathy, but I'm blanking on the other titles right now.
That's all good. It's all good. That was a good one. Now I'm intrigued. I want to read that book. On that note, I feel like obviously I attended Belly Slappin Fun.
Yes.
I attended the taping, which was an amazing experience. I'm so happy that I got to go.
That's so nice of you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Like, I was so proud of you. I was like, y'all got to watch it. Like, the last per minute on this special, like, that is craft. That is craft. That is not something you just get up on stage and do naturally. So good for you for doing all that work. And like I got to see so many of those jokes evolve over time. And that was really exciting to see. So on that note, I do feel like you talk a lot about mental health on stage.
Yeah. Yes.
Talk about that.
Mine is, how is it now?
Checking in on the psyche.
Yeah.
Checking in on the psyche.
Yeah, I have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
I think that I'm in a better place than I ever have been, and I'm more self-aware than I ever have been. But lately, I'm still finding it very challenging to do the things that I know I need to do to make my mental health better and more stable. Like, we were talking about this in the car a little bit. I know that I need to spend less time on my phone, and especially less time on social media. And I need to exercise more and spend more time just like reading, maybe even meditating, writing. I really am the happiest when I write, but getting myself into the writing mindset has been really challenging lately.
When you say you're in the best space when you write, are you talking about comedy specifically or journaling or what? What are we talking about?
What I write tends to be comedy, but I do sometimes just do the whole like morning pages stream of consciousness thing. I never do them first thing in the morning exactly because I do have a bit of a morning routine that I need to do with like my dog.
Okay. That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
That is good. It at least gets me out of bed at a reasonable time because I'm like, she can't, she needs to go out when she needs to go out.
Right.
And so we go for a little walk and I feed her and like I feed myself and
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do both.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes I forget to eat lunch, which always gets me in a really bad mood. And I'm like, why am I so angry? And then I'm like, oh, wait.
I haven't eaten.
Yeah, I have no sustenance.
No, so we need that sustenance.
Oh, yeah. And like good for you sustenance, not like candy.
Right. Oh my God, when I was in grad school, I had so many popcorn dinners. So many.
Why does popcorn taste like it is sustenance even though it's not at all?
I don't know.
But you get what I mean, right? It's not like when you're eating it, it doesn't feel like you're eating candy. It feels like you're eating something real.
Yeah, something like hearty and grainy.
Yes.
Corn is a grain, technically.
It is a grain.
Yeah,
so
right?
It should be good for us. And yet, look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. But, okay. Yeah, taking care of yourself is like a whole thing.
Yeah, and I thought, especially by my age, I would have figured that part out.
Agreed.
Like that I would at least be like eating regular meals and moving enough. And yet, I don't know. I've fallen off the bandwagon on a lot of things lately.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Well, I was at a day job that was very stressful to me for a very long period of time. And then I think that definitely contributed to me just being overwhelmed with life and like simple tasks. Like just like keeping my apartment clean and keeping myself clean.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that. I remember there were definitely some weeks in grad school where I probably forgot to shower like 2 days in a row.
Oh, I've gone longer than that.
Had to do a little wet wipe it up, and I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so it was hot as hell.
Oh,
like,
that's tough.
I'm bringing the funk, and somebody's is coming out,
but not the fun funk,
not the fun funk.
Yeah, the scary kind. Yeah, so
the job.
I think the job really got me into not a good mindset, and also. So not only was it tasks that I wasn't really excited about, but I was on a contract. I wasn't a full-time employee, and it was supposed to be for only a year. And then they just kept extending it, which is good, but it would put me into this like panic state where I'd be like, oh my God, I have to find another job. And then at the last minute, they'd extend it. And this happened for 6 years.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's
where they'd extend it every couple of months to a year. So I was just like, oh my God, I need to go on Indeed. And going on Indeed is a very unpleasant experience.
I have all my emotional support Indeed tabs open on my computer right now because that's what I spent my day doing, Indeeding. Indeed.
Yeah, and you don't even know which jobs are legitimate.
Nope.
There are some jobs that are just scams or pretend, or they're not even really hiring. They're just posting to look cool.
Yup, to look like they're doing well, essentially.
Yeah, we're a good enough company. We could hire people if we wanted to.
We're growing.
Or data mining.
Oh, is that a thing that they post fake jobs?
It's
to data mine. I've never heard of this
sort
before.
of conspiracy, but is probably true.
Copy.
That people have said that some companies are probably just trying to get people's information.
Well, that's incredibly stressful to be in a position where you think it's going to be like rather temporary, and then they just that's like a huge lack of respect for your time, quite frankly. Like, yeah, it's a good thing that you're still getting that money, but also it's like you're trying to plan your life.
Exactly. And I'm not good with uncertainty.
Me neither, girl.
And so I was living in very uncertain times for this 6 years because I was just like, oh my God, like, is the next job gonna be so much worse? Is it gonna be, it could be better, but it'll probably be worse. And then I just felt guilty because I was like, well, I have a job and it's a good job, so I should feel good about myself and I should feel content, but I feel really nervous and upset all the time.
And then you feel guilty for feeling nervous and upset because
Exactly.
you're in a position where, you know, you
and
should
I'm
be grateful.
A lot of people don't even have jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Technically I do, but I might as well not. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Well, but you're starting a new job?
I'm starting a new job.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. I love an air horn. So, yeah, I got to take some time off in between, which has been nice, but also stressful.
How long has it been, the gap?
A month.
Oh.
Yeah, because I had 3 weeks PTO saved up.
Okay.
So I got paid for 3 weeks of not working.
Yeah.
And then I have
little free
this
coin?
week and next week. Yeah. So it's been good, but I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself to be like, this is the first time in forever that you don't have to work, and it's the first time and it may never happen again. So you better get a lot of stuff done.
Oh yeah.
You better go to workout classes and write a whole nother this or that or this or that.
A pilot, a novel,
Yeah,
and a series.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where my brain
And a feature.
was spinning out to.
Yeah.
And I have spent a lot of that time just doom scrolling. Unfortunately, I have done some writing and I have, made some more content to post, and I have done some workout classes, but I haven't done nearly as much as I wanted to. And it's like,
I mean, do we ever? Is that
No.
even ever attainable anymore?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree that I think it's so hard to ever just do what you want to do.
Like, have you ever heard of the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay?
No, but that sounds like something I should read.
I've been listening to it. Because, hi, it's me, unemployed, fun employed. Because I have a car, I'm like, all right, I do Uber Eats and Grubhub sometimes. They're not sponsors, but they should be. I'm like the Dora the Explorer of DoorDash out here. And that's what I do. I just put on an audiobook so I feel like, I'm not just delivering food. You know what I mean? And basically, that's one of the things she talks about. Like, we live in a society where we're never doing enough. We're always shaming ourselves for not doing enough. Whatever it may be. Everything that you said, working out, writing, reading, right? But that just kind of reinforces this whole negative cycle in our brains, and then we manifest just feeling like crap about ourselves, and it's kind of
Yes. And
It's
I
kind of
also think I
useless.
was in a bad state too, because every time that I thought I was getting let go at my day job, I would just a little bit check out of the day job and not be as good at it as I was before.
I mean, as
And
one
then-
does when their foot is halfway out the
Exactly,
door.
as you do when you're getting kicked out.
Yeah.
But then when it would get renewed at the last second always, then I would have all these projects that I didn't feel prepared for that I had to do, and then I would feel incompetent and sad about myself and insecure because I'm like, oh, I fucked all these things up and now I have to scramble to do it all. And then I'd start to get back into the groove of it, and then it'd be like, oh, I'm getting let go now. And every time they'd be like, this time it's oops, I hit the mic again. Sorry. Every time
Just taking it out on the mic. Just taking the frustration out on the mic. No.
Every time they'd be like, this time it's real. We're not going to renew you. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to die. I'm going to end up on the street. And then at the last second, they'd be like,
Just kidding.
psych. Yeah.
That is emotional abuse, sir, ma'am. Probably, was it a sir
Well,
communicating with you?
It changed.
Look
I
at me
had
being
a lot
sexist.
of different bosses over
Okay.
this period
Well,
of time.
that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
That's a red flag. Well, look, all in all, I'm glad you're not in that position anymore
Me
because
too.
that is a lot. 6 years of
Mhm.
uncertainty would drive me nuts. I can't even deal with 6 seconds of uncertainty, to be quite honest. So I'm glad that you're starting your new gig next week. Let's get into the beginnings of your creative endeavors.
Wow.
Let's talk about when you decided to pursue comedy, and because you do stand up. I know you were doing sketch as well, correct? Didn't you have a sketch show with shout out to Marissa? Didn't you guys have a sketch show together for some time?
Yeah, Soul Crush Comedy. Our YouTube is still there, but we haven't uploaded to it in quite a while.
Soul Crush Comedy. Shout out to Marissa Stewart. Her and I were on a hip hop improv team together, and that's how I know you.
Yes. Isn't that wild?
That is wild. I haven't seen Marissa in so long. Is she married?
She's engaged.
She's engaged. Oh, I miss you, boo. So happy for you. Anyway, you better watch this because we're shouting you out. I'm gonna pull this clip just to like make her, just so she can repost it, and she better repost this exact second of me talking about it. Moving on. So yeah, sketch. You were doing improv. We did during COVID. You wrote a scripted podcast called Yes and Murder. Is that still out for people to consume?
I don't think so.
Okay. Scratch that.
My bad.
Scratch that from the record. Either way, it's a thing that we did. It's a thing that you wrote.
It was fun to do.
It was fun to do. It's a thing that you wrote. So again, bringing it back with my Google diagnosed ADHD. When did you decide to pursue comedy?
So when I was a really little kid, I always wanted to act. And from like a very young age, I would express that in kind of strange and sometimes inappropriate ways.
Oh,
yeah.
Say more.
So yeah, when I was really young, I think when I was like 6 and under, I would wake up and pick a different character that I was, but I wouldn't tell my parents what character I was being. And I wouldn't do a different voice or physicality. And then I would freak out if they didn't call me the right name.
Wait. Were they familiar with this cast of characters that you were portraying on a regular basis?
It would be the movies that I was watching on repeat over and over again. So one day I would be Cinderella. One day I would be Ariel. But was I saying any of their catchphrases or giving anything to denote that I was them? No, I was just feeling like my soul was sort of inhabiting them. And if they couldn't see that, something was wrong on their end.
Absolutely. Hello, parents. Get it together. Figure out which Disney princess she is today. No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was very delusional for a while because...
Don't we have to be in this business?
You gotta be a little bit, yes.
I mean, we have to see something that no one else sees in order to not want to, take ourselves out when we get home from shows and what
not
have
want
you.
to press on a live. Yeah.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Alana J, and I'm here to tell you about all the magic that is happening at Bravery Studios, New Jersey's #1 podcast recording studio. At Bravery Studios, you handle all the talking and they do the rest. That's it. Seriously, all you have to do is show up and shine. Yes, honey, work. With 3 different filming locations, there's a perfect space for every type of podcast. From cozy chats to high-energy shows, Bravery has got you covered. But wait, there's more. Bravery Studios hosts monthly events and podcast gatherings, perfect for networking and connecting with fellow creators. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Bravery Studios and let's make some podcast magic together. Do it. Come on. You know you want to. You know you want to. So delusional. Okay.
Yeah. So I was super delusional. And as I got a little bit older, all the big celebrities at the time were like multi-hyphenates. They were doing it all. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing it all. And the thing is, I wasn't really aware of what abilities I had and what abilities I didn't have. So I just assumed I could sing really well, even though I couldn't.
This was around what time? Still the six-ish?
I was like,
where were we at?
That's when I got a little bit older than that.
Like middle school? Were you a theater kid? Did you do
middle school? So I tried to be a theater kid, but all the local theater was musicals, so you had to sing. And I didn't understand that I was a bad singer. I think I was just like deep in delusion that if I just wanted to be good, I would be.
You were willing yourself to the vocals.
Yeah, so I would never get cast in anything because I would sing terribly. And then I was just like, they hate me. Something is wrong. Like, I just like didn't really accept it all the way until I think what kind of broke the delusion is when I was in college.
Okay. Where'd you go to college?
DeSales. It's like a small school in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I went for television and film.
Is it by the Dutch? The Pennsylvania
not really
Dutch?
by the Dutch.
Okay.
No, it's a Catholic school.
No Amish?
No, I didn't see any Amish people when I was there.
In the streets? All right.
No, not that kind of Pennsylvania.
Copy.
But it's not that far from that area.
We weren't churning butter. Understood.
No, it looks cool. Mm-hmm. It looks interesting.
Churning butter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Is that a sex term too? Is that why you're laughing?
I'm laughing because the image of churning butter is just so, it's just so sexual. You know what I mean? Anyway.
It's doing something to me.
Because I'm a child.
Yeah.
So middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania.
So I think I really struggled socially growing up. Like I didn't have a lot of friends. And when I did, I would often alienate them after not that long. And I think that I had all these like self-aggrandizing fantasies, like to compensate for that. But I didn't.
What does that mean? Just in case people have to pause and look up self-aggrandizing.
like
put in the captions.
Thinking I was amazing at everything and smarter than other people and all this shit, even though it was not true. I think I just had that.
Thank you for defining that for me. No. Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah, and then I think when I got to college and it was like a social reset and everybody was like, oh, freshmen, you can come to these parties. I think something kind of like snapped in my brain where I was like, wait, I was being crazy before. I actually just really want to fit in and I just want friends. So I didn't talk about like wanting to like act or sing or anything like that because I realized that would be like cringy.
In college.
But in college it wasn't like a good time in my life. I had like a lot of emotional issues.
Same.
Yeah, I was like drinking way too much because I realized that could be a social lubricant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went down like a bad path. And things were like really rough, and
I had no idea.
Yeah, what finally turned my life around is like after a few years after I graduated, and actually after I went to like back to grad school. After that, I ended up moving to Boston for a job, and I was like, wow, I have no friends. How am I going to meet people?
Pause. What did you study in college and what did you go to grad school for?
In college, I studied television and film. And then after college, I got really, really obsessed with sustainability and the environment. Usually I only have like one interest at a time. And for a few years, it was that. I was like very, very obsessed with sustainability stuff. And it was kind of all I would read about and talk about for a few years. And then yeah, I went to grad school for that being like, oh, and this is like an emerging field. Everyone's hiring like a sustainability coordinator. And I was like, maybe I'll be a consultant and stuff like that, which sounds good in theory. But in practice, when I graduated, it was like, oh, this job market is also super hard and I'm not finding anything and I feel screwed again and dumb again. And then I moved to Boston for this job that actually was like super low paying and a terrible job. And I was miserable. I had no friends. And then I was like, man, how do I meet friends? I was trying all these different things to try and meet people and nothing was working. And then...
This was pre-apps.
pre-apps.
This was pre-Bumble Friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I haven't used, but I think some people have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Otherwise, I don't think it would be a thing. Maybe it's not a thing anymore. I don't know. I'll do the research after.
Yeah. Let me know.
I will. I could use some bumblebees.
Yeah.
In my hive.
Come
so,
around.
So Friends.
Yeah. So then I was like,
where can we find them?
I'm just gonna sign up for an improv class to meet people. I didn't even want to do improv. I just wanted to like meet people, and I heard from a few other people when I lived in New York that they did it and they met a lot of people. So it was kind of like a Hail Mary for me. And I took it, and it just like, I got so into improv. And I did meet a lot of people, and I was having so much fun. And it was like just the beginning of being like, oh, this is a way, comedy is a way that I can use all this like artistic energy in a positive way. Because I think when I was younger, I was too fixated on trying to be like,
cool?
Yeah, exactly. Wanting to be seen as like cool or like a leading lady type, which is like not who I am. Like, I'm more of like a wacky sidekick, but I didn't really.
You could totally star. I could totally see you starring. I mean,
Thank you.
I could definitely see you starring in some silly like action comedy.
Yeah,
which is my dream genre. But what?
No, well, yes, but that's still like a particular type. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like a Disney princess type, which is what I thought I was growing up. But now I'm like, why would you even want to be that?
Well, you were the Disney princesses, but your parents just didn't pick it up.
No one saw me. No one saw that I was just oozing the essence.
Right.
Yeah. And then I love doing improv, and I was meeting people and like being better socially than I had ever been before. But I did always have like some level of anxiety around it, around the idea of like, you have to get up on stage without anything and you don't know what you're gonna do. And I was like, why don't people write before they get on stage? That would be so much better. And it took me a little while to be like, wait, don't people do that? It doesn't stand up or sketch do that? And then I was like, oh yeah, because people always think when they meet me, like, I must have been really into stand-up growing up, and I wasn't at all. Like, I would watch it once in a while. It would pop up on TV, but I didn't really know what a big thing it was.
What about SNL as far as sketch? Like, did you grow up watching SNL at all as far as?
Not really, because I had pretty strict parents. So I had like an early bedtime through high school. And what time was SNL on? Wasn't it on late?
I think it's on at like 11 o'clock, maybe.
Yeah,
Is it on 11, 10:30?
I was not
EST
up to watch SNL for sure.
Got you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't grow up watching a lot of it either, but I did grow up. My brother would regurgitate a lot of it, so I would get it like secondhand through him. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so stand up. You weren't exposed to a lot growing up.
No.
Do you remember the people that you did sporadically see growing up that maybe planted a seed in the subconscious?
I mean, I've always thought Maria Bamford was cool when I'd see her once in a while. I always thought Mitch Hedberg was really cool. I liked his style and his one-liners and stuff like that. Like, if I have to say favorite stand-ups, those two would be them. But yeah, I wasn't really that into stand-up, which I think in some ways is a little bit of an asset, because a lot of people, when they first start doing stand-up, are doing
an impression
exactly
yeah.
of a stand-up that they admire, and I wasn't doing that.
Right. No,
yeah.
You definitely see it a lot. I feel like specifically amongst the male demographic, you do see that a lot, but also because, it has been. I mean, really, what isn't male dominated besides like being an au pair? But now I hit the mic. It's like, cut it out. Stop talking shit about men. Anyway, okay. So I totally feel you on the anxiety before improv shows, dude. So I did improv you did improv in Boston. Did you also do it in New York when you came to New York?
I did it a little bit when I first moved to New York, because it's way easier to get to know people through improv than it is through stand-up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because you actually have to work together.
Yeah, totally.
And listen to each other.
And improvisers are just friendlier. They're just like, hey, what's your name? Like, what do you like to do? Whereas stand-ups, you have to work a little harder to talk to them.
That's valid.
Yeah.
That's definitely valid.
Yeah. And
it's like they need to know you're good before they get to know you.
Yeah. Whereas improvisers, it's kind of like, just because you exist, what's up? Unless you're like, completely annoying or something.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some exceptions to that because there are people who are toxic everywhere. But for the most part, improvisers are nice.
There was literally a point, there were a couple of shows with DMXX, which was the name of I was on a hip hop improv team. I don't know if I said that already, with Marissa. Were you guys roommates at one point?
No, but we played them in sketches sometimes.
That's
for
why.
Soul Crush.
That's why I thought you were roommates.
Mm-hmm.
But there were literally a couple of shows where, like, Hannah, one of our other castmates, had to literally pull me out of my seat and get me on stage because of how, like, paralyzed with anxiety I was. And nobody would ever know it once I was on stage. But, I mean, nowhere near as badly now with stand-up. But, like, when I do wear my Fitbit before a show, I be logging 5 minutes of cardio in those few minutes before I get on stage.
Wow.
Like, my heart rate goes all the way up and thinks that I'm, like, doing burpees. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would get angry when it would go badly. Like,
what, improv or stand-up or both?
Improv.
Oh.
Because with stand-up, it doesn't feel good when it goes badly, but you're kind of like, all right, I can take something from this, or if I can't, whatever I tried, they just weren't my
What does going badly? What does going badly look like?
When people
stand-up?
are not laughing that much.
Okay.
Yeah. But for improv, there would be.
I feel like that was an obvious question, but I just wanted to.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to know.
You'd be surprised by how many people who try stand-up that don't seem to know that will be actively doing bad and not understand that they're doing bad.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of very self-unaware
Yes.
individuals in the scene for sure. Yeah, because like heckling could be another way that it goes really badly. You know what I mean? That because then you get derailed and you're like, okay, wait, I didn't realize I was on your show, Jonathan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hate when people yell things out. I'm like, this is not what this is. This is a performance by me.
I also feel like you are not and I admire this a lot, that crowd work really isn't a big thing for you.
No, I hate doing it. I will do it every once in a while, just because certain rooms, especially if you're hosting, they kind of feel a little anxious. You can just feel this like anxiety in the air that sometimes can't be alleviated by having someone tell you a joke, that you sometimes need someone to just like, reach out and be your friend and
connect, actually connect, and have not just an energetic exchange, but like a verbal exchange with
but it always,
not with everyone in the room, but at least a couple of people,
but it just like, it makes me anxious. It's like not what I'm there to do. It's not what I like to do.
But I mean that as a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
Because I feel like, especially in the New York scene, and I attribute this to the size of the rooms in New York, like with the exception of like Gotham Comedy Club, right? Like most of the rooms in New York are a little more intimate, I feel. Whereas like, dude, I did a lot of comedy when I was in grad school in Louisiana, and they were in massive venues with ceilings like 30 feet high, right? With like the crazy acoustics. And you don't need to do as much crowd work because that's not what they're there for. But yeah, I kind of attribute it to like the intimacy of the New York rooms, why a lot of the times, even if it's just a little something off the top, where they have that almost expectation now. But I definitely, it's a compliment that you don't need to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to establish. It's a good thing. Okay. What can you tell me a little bit about like your most successful experience? Obviously, you get on stage probably how many times do you get up a week? Like 5 times a week?
Something like around that. Yeah.
Around that. So I'm sure you have a ton of positive. I want to hear about like one of the best experiences you've ever had on stage doing stand up, and then one of the worst in whichever order you choose.
Ooh. It's hard to say the best because
you're so good. Because she's so good.
No, I mean there's like a decent amount of times where it just like you get in that groove and your brain just like goes to this almost like meditative place where things are really flowing and really hitting. And that is just like one of my favorite mental states to be in. And, where the energy in the air is just like very electric. And that happens, not super infrequently. But it does like leave less of a mark in your mind than when things go really off the rails. Like it's easier for me to talk about the worst situations.
Well, our brains are wired for that. Our brains are literally wired for survival. So, it makes sense.
Yeah. The worst I ever did was I was like a couple years in, I forget how many years in, but I was feeling pretty confident overall, and I got my biggest gig to date.
Okay.
It was like a 300-seat theater, and I was getting paid $300, which was like amazing. And it was like this organization that was like focused on women in comedy. So I was like, if I do well on this show, this could like, I could get a ton of gigs from this. This could be so amazing. So I was like so pumped about it.
Yeah.
But it was a 15-minute spot. And most of the spots that you get in like Boston and New York are like shorter sets. They tend to be like 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. So I hadn't done that many longer sets before. And I had the time, but not by a lot.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do like everything I've been doing lately. And I was like so excited for it. And it started out good, but let me back up a little bit, first of all. So it was at this theater that was in a smaller town just outside of Boston.
Okay.
And
I love the nitty gritty. Let's go.
Yeah. No, well, this is an important detail.
Yeah.
So there was one particular joke that I was a little bit nervous about doing. It was an abortion joke because, I
Is it the parasite?
It was, let me think about what it was. I think it was a different one because it was one, I was so traumatized from this. I didn't really do this joke that much outside of it. Oh, I was like, I'm feeling really good about myself. I finally lost all the baby weight. I had an abortion, and then it went on from there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I talked about it in like pretty obvious detail that it was like based on a true story. I was like, they make you get an ultrasound beforehand, and the tech was like, "Do you want to keep this picture?" And I just started laughing at them. I was like, what, you think I'm going to keep that picture? Like, send it out as a Christmas card? Like, put a little hat on it?
I feel like I've heard you talk about that on stage.
Yeah. But I was talking about that, in New York, and it was going well in New York.
Yeah.
And I was like a little nervous because I was thinking, the Boston area can be a little bit more conservative. But I was like, but it is so close to the city. And then I was listening to this podcast with like a much bigger female comedian who said that she used to like open with an abortion joke when she toured clubs, and I was like, oh, she's like touring clubs around and she's opening with I'm sure I can get away with it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then when I get to the venue, I immediately notice that everyone in the audience is like 80 years old.
Oh.
Everyone is old as shit. Like walking in with their like walkers and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Depends on deck.
Yeah. So I got a little bit more nervous. Like maybe I should cut that and a couple other jokes that are like saucier.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have that much to swap it out for.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, I was like, but I have said it in front of some older people and like, you know, I don't want to be ageist.
Right.
Maybe they're cool.
God forbid. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get up and it's going fine at first. You know, not like incredible, but it's like going pretty well. And then I get to the middle of my set and I drop the abortion joke.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just like, the whole theater is like absolutely furious. Like, not even just silence, like boos, this old guy yelling, "You're disgusting!" Like, anger. Like, I was actually kind of scared.
Oh my God, you started an elderly revolt.
Yeah. Yeah, these people wanted me down. Like, it was not good. And then I was only halfway through the set.
Yeah.
And
how'd you recover? Did you recover?
Of course not. You know what I said? I said, "Hey, laugh while it's still legal." And then they did laugh a little bit, but then they immediately got like mad again. They were like, "Ah, blah, 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 blah," and then like
This harlot.
Yeah, exactly. And then I tried to switch back to like, you know, like cutesier jokes about like me being a weird kid and stuff. And they were just like not having it. They were like, "Now that we know you're a whore, we don't want to hear that kind of cute shit."
Yeah. You can't just flip the script like that.
Yeah. And then so afterwards, like my friend Ellen was there and she just like, I'm normally not like a very huggy person, but I came up and she just like hugged me and was like, "It's gonna be okay." Like, and it was genuinely scary, like getting out of there. And
wow,
you know, you forget like liberal bubbles are real. You know, a lot of places people have a lot of feelings about you know, things that don't even have brains, like fetuses, and yet don't have a lot of feelings about living, breathing women.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a big experience. And then what was the worst part about it is it was just like, oh, I alienated this organization that I did want to be a part of.
Did anybody that was a part of the organization say anything to you about it?
So I sent her an email and yeah, it was tough because I didn't really know what to say exactly, because I did feel bad that I derailed her show and I didn't mean to.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna be like, it's inappropriate of me to like be okay with abortion, because I think abortion's great. I think it's life-saving for many, many women. I think it's insane that in 2025 anyone hears that word and is like, like,
yeah,
fuck you. So but I also, yeah, I mean, I know like that's her business. And
did she reply?
I sent her an email and it said something along the lines of like, "Hey, I'm sorry I derailed the show. I didn't realize that that was such a sensitive
topic."
Yeah. And she replied and was like, "It's okay. Like, I like edgy stuff, but it's not for everyone." And she was like, you know, people like, they're really looking forward to the show, and like a lot of them, you know, had to get babysitters and stuff like that and just wanted to have a nice night out. And I thought that was weird of her to say, because I was like,
why are you bringing up babysitters?
These people don't have babysitters. These people's kids are like 50.
Right.
They're like 80. Like,
they have like nurses in home.
Yeah. They were like wheeled out of hospice to come to the
that is a really bizarre thing.
To come scream at me about abortion.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, like when I was in Louisiana, I would talk about being a Catholic schoolgirl all the time. And I don't even remember the jokes that I was saying, but like whenever in certain parts of Louisiana, you cannot bring Jesus up. You cannot, there's nothing funny about Jesus. You know, like I was actually at a show in New Orleans at it's one of the super domes, if you will. The Smoothie King Center, I believe. And it was a Burt Kreischer show. One of his big shows that like Mark Norman was on the bill, Rosebud Baker, Cypher Sounds. Anyway, and I don't remember the name of the comic, but he was my favorite on that lineup. And Rosebud. And he made a joke about the church. And when I tell you, somebody literally got up and like walked down the aisle on the floor area and tried to like fight him. Like they had to like.
People are crazy.
There was a pause in the show, you know, just over Jesus. Like I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine if somebody talked about abortion. You know what I mean? And mind you, Big J was on that show too. And I mean, we're going to have to bleep it out. But the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "What's up? F word for gay men." You know what I mean? That was the first word, you know, British cigarette. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That was the first thing out of his mouth. And this was before Jesus Man, church joker, came on stage and did his bit. And the crowd erupted. It was like they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So it was just like the juxtaposition was just, I'm like, I feel like I'm in another world. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because people talk a lot about comedy censorship from a right-wing perspective, but I feel like there is a lot of comedy censorship on the opposite end too. When you're talking about more left, I'm using the wrong hand. More left issues, and it's not like I'm, you know, always talking about things that are political or this or that, but it's kind of like, come on guys, you can't take an abortion joke, like, get it together. But I do say that as someone who was raised Catholic, and at a certain point in my life I was anti-abortion, like, because I grew up with this idea that it's like
murder, yeah,
and that like God is like putting them together in the womb, and like that's like a sinless being that's more precious than actual people. But then, you know, when I later on became not religious anymore, and I was just like, yeah, that was nuts that I thought that.
1,000%. 1,000%. I had a very similar experience. I grew up going to Catholic school, and to this day, I have a Bible at home. It was in 7th grade. My teacher, Miss Figueroa, because both of my 7th grade teachers died in 7th grade, and we had to get new ones. Anyway, wow. Miss Figueroa pulled up, and like apparently I was obsessed with her in my journal that I still have. Like I'm like, oh my God, Miss Figueroa, I'm so grateful that the Lord brought her into my life. Like, what the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, she had us memorize this prayer. It was an anti-abortion prayer, and it was, mind you, I'm 12. I don't even know what consent is, which is like my biggest gripe with Catholic school is abstinence only education. Like I literally think it's a mental health problem, but we don't have time for that conversation. But anyway, we'll do that one on the car ride back to the PATH train.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wrote on my Bible this prayer that I think it says, God, please save the life of the unborn baby. And I'm like, literally, I was Republican before I had a full set of pubes. Like what?
Oh, me too. Yeah.
What is this? So anyway, I totally relate on that. But we do have to wrap it up. This has been amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I learned so much. You're wonderful. I didn't realize like we had so much in common in certain ways. And I look forward to part 3 of our podcast on the journey to the path. But the last 2 things that I want to ask you before we go are, the name of the show is Act Up with Alana J. And today we're acting up with Laura Merli. How do you recommend, we're taking action to ascend. We're taking action to elevate. That is how I'm repurposing Act Up. I have to use my hands. It's non-negotiable. How do you suggest or recommend that the people act up today?
I'd say get back into longer form content, like reading books, watching movies, even watching full TV shows. Because while I think that short form social media is not all bad, it does, I think, harm our attention spans and get us to dark places.
That is valid. And I love how a book is considered long form content. I do.
Right after I said that, I was like, wild for me to be classifying a book as this, but it is.
It is. I mean, that's where we are. That's where we are.
It's not a tweet.
Speaking of books, we know she's well read. If you were writing your memoir right now, what would you name this chapter of your life?
Anew. So, because I'm starting a new beginning. So maybe a new beginning.
I like anew, again, limited attention span is one word, right? Because anew is a word.
Yeah,
A-N-E-W.
I was going to say the first word that came to my...
space new.
The first word that came to my mind was transition. And then I was like, wait, that's so associated with gender transition that's going to confuse people. I'm not going to the male side.
Yeah, we were gonna have to have a whole. We were gonna have to tell the other people coming in to wait. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm hopefully just gonna work out, and eat right and do things.
Yes, you are. And if you need help, I got you.
Oh, I always need help.
The only thing that I am consistent at is working out.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And getting on stage, we're consistent at that. So, where can they find you? Where can the people find you?
On Instagram and TikTok at Passive Abrasive, and I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/Laura Merli Comedy.
And there you have it. There you have it. Laura, thank you so much. Don't forget, subscribe to Act Up with Alana J. Hit that like button. Make sure you go watch Laura's stand-up special, Belly Slappin Fun. You're not going to regret it. It's hilarious. Thank you so much for being here. We out. Deuces. Yay. Now we just need a picture.
Yay.